Welcome back to Create Your Future with Amanda, where your happiness is my number one priority. Today, in this episode, we're going to talk about how to stop your negative thinking. Oh my goodness, we all do it. And we know when we start thinking negative, it can sometimes spiral out of control so quickly. So today, I'm going to share with you two things that I do to stop my negative thinking at times. And actually, every time I think negative. I mean, we all think negative, and it's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. The trick is to catch it as quick as possible and to change the negative thinking. And there's two main reasons why we think negative, why it's just we generally think negative. First one, it's habit. It's habit, and it's almost like human nature. I mean, go anywhere, go to a coffee shop, and I'm sure within the first few minutes, you'll hear two people sitting there talking over coffee, talking about what they don't like, what complaining about something or someone. It seems like whenever we get in a group, we've got, we talk negatively about what's not working in our lives. Now, don't get me wrong, negative thinking and sharing your problems with people is good because they can help give you suggestions and ideas and help you to solve those particular problems. It's when we dwell on it that it really starts to become a problem, when we dwell on it and we're not looking for possibilities. So, the first thing to stop it from being a habit is every time you have a negative thought about something, stop and say, okay, where does this negative thought come from? Well, it comes from the desire to actually want something. What do I want? Well, I want this. Okay, so start thinking about that. So stopping yourself in the moment. Some people use an elastic band on their arm. It's called a pattern interrupt, and they just kind of snap it to interrupt it. It's kind of like some people, when their cats are clawing the furniture, they'll spray them with a water bottle. Same idea, right? So you want to give yourself a little spray or a little jolt, or at least recognize that you are thinking negative and to stop yourself from it. Another good thing is to recognize that it is a habit. So I remember years ago, I would come home from work and I had a bad day at work, and I'd sit on the couch with my little blankie, whole plate of pasta, put on the TV, and just think so negative about my whole entire day. It was a habit, and it became a habit that I would do every night. So maybe change up. Is there something that when you're doing it, you particularly have negative thoughts? If so, change that habit, change your physical surroundings. If you're always worrying every night when you go to bed, well, when you decide to break that habit, maybe change around your bedroom. So when you lay in your bed, you feel like you're in a different space, and then that'll trigger, and you can say, okay, I'm going to start thinking positive. And, so changing your physical position or your habits, your physical habits, when you're changing, trying to break a mental habit is also really helpful as well. The second thing is to change your perception on the situation. Okay, easier said than done. I get it. So, how how can I explain this? So changing your perception. So let's say, for instance, years ago, what I used to do is I used to think that I was no good. That's pretty negative self-talk. Oh, I'm no good. No one's gonna like me. Da 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 da. Oh, okay. So how can I change? I can obviously do step one and say, no, Amanda, you are good. You are good. You are good, and eventually convince myself of it. But there's an easier way. It's changing your perception on the situation. Okay, well, am I really that crappy? Absolutely not. And then change your perception. Well, I'm nice to everybody. Okay. So am I that bad? No, I'm not that bad. So change your perception on the actual situation, right? So let's say, for instance, you go to, I don't know, a coffee shop, and somebody just quickly rushes by you and kind of bumps you and spills your coffee, and you think, oh, how rude. I can't believe they did that. Well, it's very negative, right? Well, we don't know why they did that. I mean, if we think that, oh, they just did that because they were being rude and they could have said, excuse me, or, not brushed by me. But how do we not know that there wasn't something going on, that there was some sort of emergency that they were trying to get to? Oh, okay. Well, it's okay because they were trying to get to an emergency. That changes the perception of it. And it's like, oh, okay, no problem. It's not such a big deal that they bumped into me. Like, for instance, true story, yesterday I was at the pharmacy and I was putting in a prescription. And all of a sudden, this lady, she was like, she barges in and starts talking to the pharmacist that I'm talking to. And at first, I was like, oh, How rude. But then all of a sudden she said, oh my God, it's an emergency. I need to find the Benadryl. Then all of a sudden I noticed she had a crying baby there. Well, that change of I was like, oh my God, I said to the pharmacist, go, go. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness. In the first minute, I'm thinking she was just being rude, but really it was a major emergency. So changing the perception of the situation is going to really help out to stop the negative thinking. And in fact, I felt good that she budged in, and I was like, no, pharmacist, go help her, go help her. She needs that help. And rather than looking at it as a negative situation that somebody, was rude to me, right? So, I guess the basis to changing your perception on the situation is to look at everything that is empty and meaningless, and it really only has the meaning that you give it. So, for instance, let's say that I text my friend and they don't text me back in the evening. Does that mean I've done something wrong? Is there something wrong with me? What did I do? Like, what's wrong? Do they not like me anymore? Well, see, it doesn't mean anything. It could be a different 100 reasons why they didn't text me back. Maybe their phone died. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're going to text me back in the morning. I mean, it may not necessarily mean that they don't like me. So it's empty and meaningless, and it could have 100 different meanings, right? So always put the positive spin on it to change your perception of the situation. Anyways, you know what? I hope this helps to stop your negative thinking. You can do it. You can do it right now at this moment. You can just stop and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start thinking positive right now. And you know what? All it takes is doing that a couple times a day. And eventually, before you know it, you'll always be looking for the positive spin on every situation. It may not change a lot in your life, but I'll tell you one thing, it will change. You will feel good about yourself. Anyways, that's my video for today. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day creating wonderful things. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing to these videos. It really does help to show your support, and I really do appreciate it. All the information you need about me is in the description below. And have a great day. Love y'all.